Welcome to PaddyCast. In this episode, we're joined by Mick Conlan, Irish hero at the minute, Irish boxing hero at the minute. Mick, how are you?
Oh, good, mate. Oh, good. Pleasure to speak to you on your official podcast.
I drove past your house earlier on and I heard you hard at it, hitting the bag. Are you training hard now? Still, obviously, yeah.
Listen, I haven't stopped. I haven't stopped training. Since this lockdown, I think I've kind of enjoyed training much more than what I usually have. Even like my weight and all is better than what it's ever been. I've been training with my dad, doing bits with him and stuff. So I'm fortunate to have someone like that around who is a high level coach and can give me the power work which I need and all the stuff that I need. So the training hasn't changed. I've been working away, and I'm happy to be still in the gym.
It's probably better, not better, probably more enjoyable training now because you're not focused too much on actually losing weight or maintaining it. You're just focused on training.
That's the thing, and that's the thing. With this, I'm sitting later now than what I would ever sit normally. Like I'm not even 8 kilos over what I would usually sit, and I usually sit on the car. So it's perfect. I think it's the thing of like not having that next fight in your head when you have to make the weight and when you're going to be stepping on the scales again, and you want to make sure you get all the food in before then. There hasn't, well, since the lockdown started, I have kind of stuff in the pipeline now, but once the lockdown started, it was like, we don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how long it's going to be. So just live normal. And I did do it. I trained every day. I like to train. So it was just living normal. And now I get up in the morning, I probably miss breakfast. I'll go and train, and have a lunch, and I don't even want dinner. I'm not hungry. You know what I mean? So it's worked out well.
Well, here I want to talk about obviously your sporting career, but not just the present time. I want to go into like how you got started and where you started. Not there, because obviously I know you come from a boxing family. So Brendan and Jimmy boxed. You're the younger of the three of them. So tell us like how did you started and how did you tell me about your journey from where you started to where you are now?
Yeah, well, I think my dad sent Brendan and Jamie to the gym because I think they were getting in trouble and fighting and stuff, and he just wanted them to know how to defend themselves. And even at that, way before I actually started to go to the gym, we would have watched boxing in the house. The Olympic Games specifically, would have been the big kind of thing we would have watched in the house. But we would have stayed up and watched the likes of, Morales fights and Prince Nassim and stuff. And those kind of fights made me start to really like boxing. But I didn't ever think about doing boxing. It was my two older brothers went to the gym to learn how to defend themselves, and I just wanted to be like them. So I tagged along, and ended up, being a fighter.
So it was the Bosco Club you boxed for first, or was it Canada?
In Don Bosco, so it was over in Carlite Circus. We went over, and Sean Caff was the head coach at the time, and I remember going in, and they were kind of tripping away on the bags and doing the session, which they had to do, and I said, listen, I want to be like Jamie, more so Jamie, because me and Brenton always clashed, and I says, yeah, let's do it. I'll just stick it and kept going because they were always there, and then fell in love with it. And once I kind of started to go, actually, the Bosco told me I went when I was 7. So when I was around 8, they says he's too young. He's not allowed to be in the club. He's too young. He has to go to a different club, or he has to stop boxing. He can come back when he's 10. So I left, and I was devastated. I cried my eyes out because I couldn't go to the gym with my older brothers.
Yeah.
And I went to Clanner Boxing Club and kind of started my boxing career really, because that's where I started sparring and started doing what I wanted to do. And then I think Shawnee seen me in a club show for Clonard and said to my dad, listen, get him back. We need him in our club. So I went back. I was happy to go back. My brothers were, and joined back to Bosco and kind of took off from there.
Like obviously you're one of Ireland's most successful ever athletes and ring boxers. I think it was 2011. I think I'll agree was your breakthrough year. But I actually remember in 2009, 2010, you
Oh,
were
you're gonna
good.
bring this up, yeah. You're gonna bring this
No,
up,
I'm
are
not
you?
going to bring this far up. I'm not saying that you were
Oh,
good, but yeah,
okay.
like, in 2011 was like a switch. You just everything changed. You stay. I remember sparring you in 2010 to 11, and like you know, they were good spars. But I think in 2012 onwards, I hated sparring you because how much you improved, it was
Yeah,
frightening. But you know, I think it was 2011. You won your first senior title,
yeah, yeah.
nice, and
Looking
then
back now.
and then what I what I always remember about that is like you fought for Ireland that year about 18 times. It was
Uh-huh.
ridiculous the amount of fights you had. And I think you may agree with me that then kind of fights and then kind of tournaments stood by you and improved you.
100%. That's what developed me. And I know it's your podcast, and I don't mean to give you a big head, but it was your sparring. It was training with you who was such a successful amateur boxer and achieved so much at that time. Still, you had still much more to achieve, but at that time you were European champion, Commonwealth champion, Olympic medalist. You know, I was like getting in there, and I was giving it to you, and you were giving it to me, and it was tough for me. You punched ahead of me a load of times. You know what? And just that high level, having someone of that kind of caliber in the same gym as you, in the same ring as you, kind of brings your level up. And obviously, 2011, I actually lost my first fight that year. The what do you call him, Daggy Milligan. I'll be honest, I don't think I lost. I think it was raw
Yeah.
badly. I think
Well,
most
that was the
people lost
final.
raw badly. I remember saying in to David Kelly of the Telegraph, said, um, he wrote in the paper like, what a disgrace, Colin robbed all this here. But I remember saying to him, doesn't matter. I'm going to go down with the Irish seniors next week. And I did that. I stuck to what I said. Went down there and then went to the GB tournament. Won gold there. Had 3 fights. So I fought a Portuguese guy, a Russian, and England, Tommy Stubbs, who you fought a few times.
Yeah.
I won that. And then I went to round robin in Germany. I won all 3 fights there. You were at that as well. And then we went to the Europeans, and I beat Calify in the first fight too. I'd sparred when we were over in Sheffield, and I remember him he done a blog for Boxing News, and I remember him writing in the blog saying Ireland have got a new kid, Conlan. Nothing I haven't seen before, and won't be a problem. So I was delighted. It was just like it was. He gave me the fuel. He gave me the fuel for that one. And then I lost to my friend who had beat previously, Vincenzo Bacardi, but I only lost twice that year, and it was the Picardi and to Andrew Selby.
Oh yeah,
And
that's right.
those fights, even though I lost, I learned so much, and that was the thing. What I learned from the Picardi fight was I underestimated him from beating him before, and I
Yeah.
destroyed him in Belfast. I dropped him and
Was
everything,
there?
and then I underestimated him, thinking I was just going to go and do the same Europeans, and he beat me. And then with Selby, I thought I won that one. It was 25-24. Um, but I just took so much from it, and it just set me up for a perfect Olympic year.
Yeah, I actually remember we were in Germany, I think it was, before the Olympics. And I think together we brought each other on so much. I think that's why we had such a successful tournament, because
It was
we were
Italy. I
sparring each
think
other.
it was what do you call that? A CC.
Oh,
A
CC,
CC.
yes, sorry, you're
Where I
right.
got my
CC.
bloody nose broke and everything.
That's right. So you actually went in the mix with a broken bone in your nose.
Yeah, yeah.
Ridiculous. But obviously, we'll talk about the Olympic Games in London. It came up against was it Eric Double? No, it wasn't. It was
It was Duke Mika.
Duke Mika,
Yeah.
and you beat him. Then you fought for the medal. One of my great nemesis, Nordine Ibala, who's now current WBC champion. What was
Yeah.
the pressure like? Obviously, you had beat him before at the World
Um,
Championships to qualify. What was the pressure like in that fight?
it was it was massive. Just I beat him twice before actually, because remember we went to France
Yes.
earlier in that year, and I beat him again. Um, and every fight was very close, and every fight went the exact same way. He won the first. I battled back, pulled it back in the second, took over in the third, and it was the same in the Olympics. He could have got the first round. I pulled it back, and I should have won the second round, but it was just level and level. And then the third round, I pulled away again. But the thing about that fight, it was always going to be a high intensity fight. And the first time I fought him was when I qualified for London 2012, and the third time was when I won the medal. But the first time I remember fighting him and or going against him for the qualify for the games. And I remember the only reason I knew of him was because he fought Jamie in,
Yeah.
I think it was Wexford or something, in a Ireland versus France show. And Shawnee McCaffrey, who was the Bosco coach at the time, said it was the best amateur he's ever seen in his life. I was like, fuck, I beat this guy, you know what I mean? So when I went and beat him out, it was like brilliant. I beat him a second time, and it was still tough, but I was like brilliant. And then the third time, I was like, fuck, can I do this 3 times? I was like, fucking hell. He's third time lucky for him, or third time lucky for me. And, fortunately enough, I just had that kind of, I think I just wanted it more.
Yeah.
And I had that more drive in me. I had a good engine, and no matter what, I fought him as a southpaw the whole time as well. And it was just like, it was mental.
Yeah.
Once I had done that there, I was like, fuck, what's going on?
It was crazy because I actually remember your fight to qualify in Azerbaijan, wasn't it?
Yep.
And we were late. Our taxi was late, and we walked in at second round, and you're fighting southpaw. And like,
Yeah.
what's going on? You mixed on fight southpaw. So it just shows how good you were to adapt to different styles. And then obviously the biggest fight in your life to date was obviously against Bali for the medal, and you turned southpaw. Like what went through your head to do that? Because obviously you're more comfortable. Well, you should be more comfortable as an overlap.
It should be, that's the thing. But sometimes, I don't know, I feel more comfortable as a southpaw. But I think if someone was to ask me what is one of your greatest strengths or some of your greatest strengths, I would say adaptability would be
Yeah.
one, because I can change it if I need to go on the front foot, if I need to go on the back foot, if I need to turn to forward flux, whatever it is, I can do it in an instant. It doesn't take me any time to think about it. And at that time, I remember when I came out as an orthodox fighter, and after the first few punches, the first combination, I think I switched to southpaw right away and remained southpaw for the rest of the fight, because it was going to be a high kind of skillful battle, but also one that had to grind out.
Like before talking about Ramirez, I actually remember on the bus going to the fight, or sorry, night before, you're saying because we had songs to walk out to.
Yeah.
He says, "I would love Michael Jackson to walk out to. That's the song I want." And like we didn't get to pick, but I actually come on.
The thing is, so I talked about it with Shauna. It was on the radio today, and I said to Shauna about this, and what Billy Waltz was the guy that got it done. I said it to Billy, and he went and got it done, but I didn't know it.
What?
I came out, I'm dancing out the race, like, I can't win gold here. No, you're not, mate, not tonight.
Well, Mick, I didn't know what Billy had done, because I remember sitting there and I heard it coming on. I couldn't believe it. I was shooting my phone and done a bet, because I thought, you know what, this is meant to be. I done a bet as you're walking to the ring. But tell me, Olympic 2-time Olympic champion, how did you find him when you were fighting him?
You know what? Listen, he's an unbelievable fighter, and you don't achieve what he's achieved if you're not an unbelievable fighter. Yeah. And when I went there, I actually thought of him really well in the first round, but with take guard scoring, I was not getting the scores. And in the second round, I kind of still going at it. I think he would have won the second round, but he had a bigger lead. And in the last round, I was done. It was nothing left in me from making the weight. So it was just like, I was running on empty anyway, because I was struggling to make flyweight at 5'7" or 5'7.5" at the time.
When you say it, I actually remember you in Azerbaijan again, the qualifier. You beat Ubali. I had to fight Selby the next day.
Yeah.
You were 4 kilo overweight. You were training in a cold corridor. I feel like crying for myself.
2 o'clock in the morning.
Ridiculous.
It was crazy. Skipping and punching what do you call them? No, the water heaters, but it was empty.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was crazy, and I always found it hard to make flyweight. Listen, I was way too big for flyweight even then. And when I fought Ramirez, he was, a very, very skillful fighter. I got a starting count in the last round, but it wasn't a starting count. I was off balance and juiced him, and he threw a few shots. None really hit me clean, and I got a count. So I was like, so be it.
You were Sure, you still are. Obviously, Ireland's only ever world amateur champion. That was a great tournament for you. In hindsight, you might have won into the tournament if well, sorry, you were always going to win the tournament, but you qualified already for through the WSB. So, what was your decision? Like, why did you want to go to the World Championships and risk injury prior to Rio?
Simple fact was, I wanted to go where, and like, be honest. I'll be honest. This is actually the first time I'm going to be honest about this publicly. The only reason I went to go to the World Championships was because I was on holiday in Portugal after qualifying for Rio. I was going to say something different there why I went. I just wanted to be a world champion, but it wasn't. The reason I went was I was sitting there in Portugal, having a few drinks, qualified for Olympic Games, daughter and all there. I was delighted. Next minute, we phone call. Billy Walsh is ringing me, sitting there with a buddy called them. One of them satyrs, sitting there with a satyr. Billy Walsh. Michael, we're going to send Kurt Walker to the Europeans here. If he qualifies for the World Championships and then qualifies for World Championships, you'll have to box off. I've told Kurt this as well, and I says, nah, fuck that, Billy, I'll go. I went and checked my weight, and I was like 62 or something like that there, and I was like, or 63 or something. It was actually because it's fighting at 56. And I says, I've got 3.5 weeks to make feather or 56 for for the Europeans. Will I do it? And then I went, listen, do it. So I started running 10Ks anyway. Went to the Europeans with 3 weeks, basically a week of sparring, 2 weeks because we started a week over there, a week at home, and then a week in Dublin, and then gone. So a week of sparring and 2 weeks of making weight. I still struggled every night that I was in them Europeans. I was like in hot baths, skipping, could barely walk. Had to get the physio to kind of slap my legs the whole time before every fight, just to make sure they were like awake and stuff. End up winning them with that amount of training. And it says once I won them with that amount of training, it was like 100% I'll win the World Championships. So I put the head down, trained like crazy, and got to the World Championships. And I was reading The Secret and all, and I was very into that book at the time, and that kind of positive mindset, and see it, believe it, create it, whatever, or achieve it. You know what I mean? I was doing all that stuff, and it does work because I was telling Sean McCombs, was sharing the room. That's probably like Joe Ward to me back in 2011 when he was telling me in the room he's going to be world champion. I just kept telling Sean, I'm already world champion. I don't need to worry about this. I'm already world champion, and went and done it. And probably my greatest achievement. You know what? See, after I win a world title as professional stuff, winning the World Amateur Championships will still be my greatest achievement.
Probably because it's harder to win.
100%. Look how many world titles there are as in the professional game compared to the amateurs. There's only one in every division. So it's definitely something that I'll have forever, and it is history being the first one ever to do it from Ireland.
Well, before we even go into Rio, we both of us qualified for Rio through the WSB World Series of Boxing. How hard, like we're away every second week.
Yeah.
Beating countries all around the world. Like, how tough did you find it?
It was just like, and I had a baby during that time. Remember?
Yeah.
That was crazy because I only came back from broken hand. Remember, I broke my thumb.
Yeah.
In the November, so I only came out of cast by the end of December, and we had to start boxing. What was it, the 17th of January or something? Wasn't it? You probably have. You have
the 19th of January.
The 19th of January in Azerbaijan, and like that was tough. I was like every 2 weeks having to make weight, and I for some reason, like after obviously with the day before weighing, you're gonna put weight on.
Yeah.
And like I had to lose 6 kilos every 2 weeks basically. I was flying up to 62, then dropping back down to 56, flying up to 62, dropping back down to 56, and it was just mental.
Do you think it made it easier a bit, like because like both of us were training together. Plus, we're training with your dad in Belfast.
That's listen. This is what happened. It was so hard, but at the same time, we were on the same journey, and we were at home training, so we were around our family at the same time.
Yeah.
And you know how it is. We have the crack until you have to cut weight, and then we'll have the crack after you cut weight, because when you're cutting weight, it's depressing for me. It really is. But it was a good camaraderie, and a journey, and achievements which are shared. Something that I remember forever was that night in Venezuela. It was like, that was the best. I was probably, you know what, that was probably one of the best feelings I've ever had, because even when the World Championship is definitely going to be one of the best, it's my best achievement ever probably. But the feeling I got when we were in Venezuela, that won't be topped. The World Championships feeling was different because I got dropped and I was disgusted. So I didn't even care about the championship. But the night in Venezuela when we won, and we had the cigars, and Billy gives the cigars with a real hat and stuff.
See, the night in Venezuela, it was one of the best nights, and plus one of the scariest nights, because obviously you needed to win, and Germanov and Azerbaijan needed to lose, and you're both fighting simultaneously.
Yeah.
I was watching the screen, you doing your stuff, you win the fight, and you thought you had no chance. No, you didn't want to fight.
And even you know how I even approached that fight. I says, fuck this, I'm just going to try and knock this guy out. I'm not even trying the box. And you were like, don't be doing that there. You might remember when we found that Nick Keaton had beat the Ukrainian in Ukraine.
Yeah.
The scores flashed up saying all Ukrainians won, and then the real scores flashed up and the Keaton had won. And I was like, I never had the bottle of juice, and I threw it across the room. Kind of went a little bit crazy, and then fuck this, and I'm fighting. And then my dad was like, no fighting. We're like, no, just fight. And I was like, nah, I'm not fighting. This is, what's the point of me fighting? He says, well, you came all this way, you're not going to fight. That's dumb. I was like, I'm not getting paid for it. Sure, what's the point? And then he says, you know what? I'll fight, and all I'm going to do is going to go in and try and knock this guy out. And he's like, you were laughing at it. Like, my dad was like, just try to do what you're doing. I said, nah, I'm going to try to knock him out. Went in, boxed, was winning easy, started trying to knock him out. He clipped a good shot and was like, what's going on? no, not today. Won the fight, the great fight. And I had planned in that fight, I told you, I had planned in that fight, because I believed I was screwed over in some of those WSB ones. I planned to say my goodbyes to Ava, because I wasn't going to bother qualifying the other way. And I was ready just to go round them all. But the fight was that tough, and the crowd was that good.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do it. I just clapped the crowd and get out of the ring. Next minute, you fly around the ring and go, you've qualified. What? I didn't know. My dad looked at you and went, you better not be fucking joking. And you just ran away.
Like, then your dad says, you better be joking. I'm like, fuck, maybe, I don't know. I knew you did, but it was John scared me. But thankfully, they qualify, and then, like, well, it's such a hard WSB, but we came through it. Both got it, was set to achieve, and we done it. But obviously, do you think, before we went to Rio, do you think, like, the WSB helped you adapt to the pro game at all?
I definitely. I remember in WSB, like, the pace in my fights, I just slowed paces right down and just boxed at my own pace and was able to control it. Bar the first one. The first one, I was obviously only back from the hand injury with no spar, and I just came through in the deep end, going harder. And that one was kind of, I tried to push and match pace, which was wrong. But other than that, like, every fight I kind of boxed, I just controlled the pace and done what I had to do. So as a professional, I was kind of already in the slowing it down. Obviously, it's a completely different pace again in professional, it's even slower than WSB, but it definitely did help.
Well, I'll talk about Rio now. I know a lot of crap happened before, Nick O'Reilly failing a drug test, and me getting beat, and amongst others, Paddy Ticketgate. But well, not that's that. But every boxer was flying. People thought, like, Billy Welch was a big hindrance, but we're all an individual sport. We're all flying with the right structures in place.
Yeah.
But I think, with your fight in particular against Nick Heaton, think we were told 3 years previous.
Yeah. These
We
were,
were
I wasn't.
like, I think the coaches knew, and I knew, but I didn't tell you because I didn't want to affect your mind. But
Yeah.
like, what kind of emotions? Like, it was evident what kind of emotions, but what kind of emotions went through your head once they called his name?
I just kind of, I was just like, no, can't be, can't be. And I was adamant it couldn't be. I was just saying, no, no. That's why I put my top and just fuck this, fuck them. I've been fucked over. Not a chance I'm going to sit here and take it like a fucking dickhead.
Yeah.
Pull the thing off. So much anger. I wanted to attack, and I'll be honest, I did want to attack, and I was
Mm.
like, I didn't know what like Alexis Fasting in 2012 got.
Well, like, it was terrible. I actually remember when you lost. It was that raging. Everyone was getting pictures of Mayweather, and I wouldn't go near him because obviously what happened. So it's your fault. I didn't get me. I didn't get Mayweather.
Oh, she always blame me. But when I went over to the interview, I remember BBC just going, no, no, we
Yeah,
don't want him. Passed me over to RT. I was just like right away, let my tongue go. You know, we've done all the media training and all that stuff, what most athletes do, and I just let rip, but say what I had to say,
yeah.
you know, and went for it. So um, there, instantly regretted it after, and then when I lifted my phone, I realized it was right. So
But you know what? Like, I think the media should expect stuff like that because it's raw emotion. You're just that they're competing. You know,
yeah,
like any athlete would feel the same way. But in hindsight, it's probably the best thing that happened because, you know, with the outburst, um, Top Rank came calling. Well, not just Top Rank, all these big promoters came calling
yeah,
because you're such a massive star of real.
yeah. It, listen, if I was asked now, you can go back tomorrow and change it, and get the win. Would I do it? No, because I do believe in life. Everything that happens is meant to happen,
Yeah,
and what's happened for me as a professional, I think I'm in a great position. I'm very, very lucky. Um, a lot of the Olympic champions who won gold, two of them, sorry, the number one kind of guy in the whole games was the Brazilian who won gold,
yeah,
and then the Uzbek who won gold. Both of them have been on my undercards. There's all sorts of medals that have been on my undercards, so you know it's
yeah. It definitely worked in your favor. You
I mean,
know,
if I had won gold, would I be his biggest star? I don't think so. I'll be honest.
yeah, because if you had one goal, there would have been no outburst. So you know, you wouldn't be out there as much in that kind of way. You understand?
Uh,
Um, how much influence does your dad or did your dad or and does he still have in your career?
my dad has a massive influence, and he's someone whose opinion I'll always value, and someone who I always go to for advice. He's a man. As a man, he's someone who I look up to and always want to be like. If man, I think he's a great person, a good human being, and a great father. Um, so for me, anytime I'm fighting, he's the first person to call, tell me I'm fighting. Anytime I spar, the first person to send spars to, ask him what he thinks, and I'll get honesty from every time,
Yeah.
and I'll get like if it's a fight, he'll give me tactics which I should use.
Like
So he has a massive influence.
I used to sometimes obviously we were kind of a team, us three trained together in amateurs.
Yeah,
But geez, I used to hate sometimes you slapping your dad. I'm stuck in the middle.
I know you always had to kind of
It always came at loggerheads.
you had to kind of keep the pace in between us, and maybe that's a good thing that you know I'm with a different coach because sometimes we do clash, but you know at the same time I always know he
Yeah,
has my best interest at heart, and I don't like fighting with him.
yeah.
And I know if he's not always there, he's always kind of still supporting me and still trying to show me the way to go.
Yeah, and same for me. He's been influential in my career as well. You know, help get me to Rio.
He's your dad, isn't he?
He's my half dad. You know,
Half
I'm
dad.
I'm like I'm Brendan.
Oh, you're Brendan. Oh, Jesus.
Hope Brendan watches, you know, a bit bother me. I'll be
Brilliant.
Sean Paul then.
Like, give me Shawnee. Give me Shawnee.
So obviously, like you turned professional with Top Rank, massive signing with MGM, I think at the time was on
Yeah.
Top Rank. And then you moved to LA.
Yeah.
What was life? What from living in Belfast, training in Belfast and Dublin in your life? What was life like training in LA?
It was different. It was really different. I really enjoyed it. And it was just, what annoyed me was probably the time difference, you know, not being able to keep in contact with people back home. But other than that, the kind of lifestyle and opportunities which you can have out there are unbelievable. Um, just living in the sunshine all the time, you know,
Yeah,
that's really good. Well, in fairness, when I went, they ended up having they've been having a drought for so long. Then they had their wettest January in about 100 years. They said, I'd be like, why does this happen when I come? Disgusted it was. Like sitting there in Marina Del Rey with just rain coming down. I was like, I feel like I'm at home. It's terrible. Um, but it was great. The people, Manny Robles, the gym and stuff, Oscar Valdez, all them guys, they're friends for life now, really. And people who I still keep in contact with. So, you know, I'm really grateful for my experience there. And the only reason I did leave was because Shauna fell pregnant again, and you know, I wasn't. It was hard enough for me being out there with her and Luciana and having the kind of. It was hard, probably more harder for her, but hard.
yeah,
And she wanted to stay. It was me who wanted to go. I found it hard, but I says, listen, I'm having a second baby, and when I'm in training camp, which is probably 90% of the year at the minute, start at that time at the start, says when I'm in training camp, I'm as useless as an ice trail on a motorbike day. So what's the point of
yeah.
me like staying here? What's the point of us staying here? We need to go back and get a family support system around us, and that was the reason we came home.
Like you mentioned names such as like Oscar Valdez, Jesse Maclino. Like, what was the sparring like with Emmons?
It was great. It was really, really good. You know, the Spawn World Champions, you know, as like a regular thing. It wasn't like you're going to spar World Champion. We're in there every day with these guys and working with these guys and just learning. Um, Two very great, very smart fighters and both can bang. So, you know, I kind of was trained at the deep end with that kind of Mexican style
Yeah,
of boxing, and I think it's helped shape my pro career. Um, Very early on, learned a new style, which you know I didn't have. I had a good inside game as an amateur, but as a professional, it was
yeah,
gone. Or
different.
there wasn't one. So the fact that I was able to go in and learn it in that first year and get all that experience before moving back, you know, I think it's definitely shaped my career.
Like you made the decision to come back, relocate over here, and now you're trained by Adam Booth. How good of a coach do you think he is?
I think Adam's one of the best coaches in the world. And I always said if I was to be training at home or close to home in the UK, Adam Booth would be the guy. Yeah, the only guy I want to train with because I believe his style matches my style. His kind of ethos and philosophy of boxing suits me. So he was my first choice, and I give him a call. I was hoping I would be a go for him. I didn't know if I would
Yeah,
or not because I know he's picky enough with the fighters he trains, and you know, thankfully he says yes, I would love to train me, and started working together, and now I think the relationship is fantastic. As a person, as a human being, I think he's a great guy. I'm able to talk to him and explain things, talk about things other than boxing and outside of
yeah,
boxing because a lot of people only can talk about the job,
yeah.
and you know he's someone who is helping shape life. You know what I mean? And especially me, he's helped shape me as a human being because I'm around him so much. And you know, even the last training camp, I was basically living, staying in his house, and it was fantastic.
Like you've lived out every young boxer's dream. You debuted at Madison Square Garden. Like, what was that kind of experience like?
That was mental. Like that was something that you know I always says I wanted a big debut. You know, I was thinking of a big debut, you know, where I'd have big music and a big entrance and all out there. But I never thought it would be Madison Square Garden. in a 6 rounder
Yeah.
as an event because I didn't think it was possible. But thanks to Top Rank and their poll, and obviously the Garden, who now I'm very very close with, and I feel I'm a part of the family of the Garden because how I'm treated when I'm there.
Yeah.
Um, that was crazy. And then like I remember saying to Jamie, this is what I want to happen. This is how I want to happen. And she's like, you can't do it in the Garden because the entrance is only like 100 meters. It's not far. It's like 2 minutes, a 2 minute walk. Look at Macklin versus Sergio Martinez. It's a 2 minute walk to the ring. Not 2 minutes. It's a 20-second walk to the ring. So it's not going to be none of that. I was like, no, it'll be like I want that. Upright. I was the first person ever to walk through the crowd as in a boxing show
Unbelievable.
in the Garden, and obviously McGregor. I was like,
Yeah.
this is crazy. You know what I mean?
It was.
Something that will live with me forever.
Yeah.
Something that I keep repeating every year. But the first one,
First thing's always the best.
well, I don't know. Like there's been some fantastic ones so
Yeah.
far in the Garden, and that first one though, it is the first, so it's always going to be memorable.
Like obviously you fought twice in Belfast, but the second time was the filler. Massive event. Um, big fight, big back home. Did did you feel under any pressure to perform at home?
100%. Listen, to be honest, I think since I turned pro, I've had so much expectation and pressure on my shoulders that I'm bound to feel it.
Yeah.
I can say all the time I don't feel pressure, but everybody feels pressure, and anybody who don't is lying.
Yeah.
So obviously I felt pressure, and in that situation, at the failure, there was tons of it, but I think I controlled it very very well.
Did the build up like, at home a massive fight like differ from like a build up in New York?
Um, mm, I did. It did. It definitely did.
But before we move on to the pit and pick your career, like do you miss the high performance? Do you miss like training in the amateurs?
Do I miss it? 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And if I look back now, they're probably the best times ever. Like,
Yeah.
there was no pressure really. There was pressure to get your grant, 100%. But we were that good. We were basically guaranteed our grants, and we had our grants guaranteed every year because of 2012 Olympics and the deal we got. But it was just there was no worries. If I look back now, you had so much of a support system around you, like training ways and all. You didn't have to worry about anything. Everything was done. Your physio was there. You didn't have to pay for your food, all out there. And people say it before the game, before you turn pro, and you'd be like, "Sure, that's what you get that sorted yourself. Don't worry about that there." And I was the same. But now when I look at it, yes, you pay for it. It's not like it's overly expensive, but to have it there on tap whenever you need,
Yeah.
so much easier and so much handier that you do miss it when you do turn professional. As a professional, you're the boss, and if you don't train, who cares?
Yeah.
No, your
Oh,
coach. It's not up to him. It's up to yourself. Everything's up to yourself. Everything lies on your shoulders. But as an amateur, if we didn't go training, you were getting slobbered at and you were getting shooted at like you were a kid. And I think I think that itself, that made it easier kind of to do. You know what I mean? When someone was kind of pulling you along, whereas professionally you have to pull yourself along, and that's something that I do miss having to do. But I always pull myself along anyway. But it is nice to have someone there doing it for you.
what would you say would be the worst moment of your career or the lowest moment?
The lowest moment. I don't really know. It's as a professional, I haven't had no real low moments. But I think my second fight in Chicago when I fought some wee small Mexican who should never have even been in the ring with me, who made me look terrible. I got out of the ring and I was disgusted. I stopped him in the third round, but I was disgusted. It was just a
Yeah.
terrible performance. Made me get up. I got myself up. I went to the after party and just left after 10 minutes. And then I got up at 6 in the morning and went straight down on the running machine and started running. It's like it's never gonna happen again. Like that was terrible. It was horrible. It made me feel sick. It felt like a loss. It did feel like a loss, even though I stopped in the third round. It felt like a loss. I was really annoyed with it. And then as an amateur, most lowest point maybe when I got injured before the Commonwealth Games. I thought it was fucked then.
Yeah.
Didn't know what was happening. Didn't think I was going to get to the Commonwealth Games with my dad, but I didn't even think it was probably going to be a boxing game because of my hand. And then everything worked out. So, thanks be to God on that one.
The Bob Andre, actually, remember that there. What would you say would be the highest moment and the best moment of your career?
As an amateur, as I said, the highest moment will be the qualification in either the qualification for Rio. But when I look back on it, I don't know. I can't say it now because I lost in Rio, so it didn't really mean anything. But that there feeling was one of the best feelings ever. Obviously, winning the bronze medal in 2012, but that feeling was kind of took away when I lost. So it's like, oh, it's annoying.
Yeah.
It's a toss up between those two.
Yeah.
Obviously, winning the world championships. When I came back after winning them, and the feeling of that was kind of special. But other than that, I don't know.
How see when you're away traveling, like obviously you're in LA with Shauna and Luciana, but when you're away now in London, like how do you cope with like training away and your family being at home?
It's not. See now we're lucky now that we have FaceTime and Zoom and all, where you can just contact family and they're there in front of you. Whereas maybe 10 years ago you wouldn't have had that, and you would have been screwed. So I feel now just being with FaceTime and stuff, it makes it much easier. But I do travel home, try every second or every third weekend, which is always good and get to see them. But it's handy enough. It's not far. It's an hour on a flight and 15 minutes in the car.
Yeah.
To see them, so I don't mind. It's quick enough, and I'm in contact with them daily, so it works out well.
Obviously, Alan Beef is no doubt an amazing coach, and you allude that too. But have you felt that you need to change? Like, would you ever move again if you needed to change?
It's a very good question. Like, would I move back to America? Are you trying to say?
Or anywhere, like could be America.
If I ever felt I need to change, I would probably only go to America because I believe the coaching and kind of coaches who I would want to work with are all over there. Unless I could get one of those coaches to come over to Ireland. But I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't train at home. Just for the simple fact, the sparring pool wouldn't be, it wouldn't be big. Whereas, in the States, it's obviously huge. But in England, it's big enough where you're able to get good work. And if you need anybody, you can fly them in because they're all big airports. So, listen, I would definitely consider going back to America if I was ever to change, which I don't think I will. Because I think
obviously being a professional sports person, you haven't got a lot of downtime. But when you do, what do you do?
At the minute, all I'm doing is either playing poker or else on Call of Duty. And I mean, it's all I'm doing. I'm not watching TV. I'm probably not even looking after my kids or sure. I'm just playing Call of Duty and poker. Nah, I'm only messing. But no, when I'm at home and I'm not in camp, I'm usually just doing family things because you are away for so long. And I'm even now at this stage of my career, I'm still away for, I'd say, 70% of the year. I'm in training. I'm home. I just try to get as much time with them as possible, whether it's away on holiday or whether it's somewhere else in the country or just even being at home with them. I just always spend time with them. I'm not, as you know yourself, I'm not really a big person for going out. I don't when I was younger, probably I was a bit more crazy and would have just been a messer when I was out. But now I'm happy to stay at home and be with family. And I think one thing to me is, which is very important, is family. I have a great family around me. Whether it's my mom, my dad, or Shauna's family, and even just my own circle. So family is very important, and that's kind of my main thing.
I seen you've been doing a lot of cooking in your downtime. Would you say you're the banana bread king?
The banana bread king.
Yeah,
You need to work on that one. You said like such.
banana bread king.
Yes, put it there, mate. But like that.
Something with stomach. That's why.
Well, you tasted it. You can give an honest
Well,
opinion on it
I'll give
now.
it an opinion. I thought it was very, very nice.
Okay, I'll be honest. I haven't probably baked since I done your cake for the simple fact that I was eating too much. I was getting too. So to say that I was saying someone needs to eat these cakes. I can't be just like making them. No one's eating them.
The salmon in my house.
I just decided I had to stop. So I did. I stopped, and now. So I think I would have probably got into Bake Off for my banana bread, but now I've switched from being a professional baker to a professional Call of Duty player and
Gamer.
Flag Football player.
Gamer. So tell me, Vic, what's next for you now? You're back training now, but when are you going back to London for camp?
I head back to London. Maybe I think Adam is going to come over here to Ireland in the next week or so.
Yeah.
He's going to come over to do a week here, and then I think I'll head over there the week after.
Yeah. Any word on your next fight? Or is it
It
just
looks like it's going to be early August. One of the first 2 weeks, I think they were saying that it could be one of those kind of times, and
Yeah.
you know, I am itching to get back. I'm probably in better shape now going into camp than I've ever been in the camp
Yeah.
because I've been just so consistent on my S&C and just my normal training, my running and stuff. I, as you know, I've been doing all sorts of different exercises, cycling and doing half marathons and all, just
Yeah.
to keep kind of active and fresh. And it's the thing, it's set me up perfectly now to go back in the camp where
Yeah.
I don't have to start off camp trying to cut weight, where I'm just going in and focusing straight on technical and tactical
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, your next fight is obviously going to be behind closed doors. Like, what's your opinion on that?
It's just, I think it's the same as every kind of amateur boxer who's a professional now, and you can attest to this yourself. Some of your biggest fights in your amateur career, there was no one there,
No, no.
and that's how amateur boxing is. Not everybody was at the fight, so um, I'm not worried about it. It will be very different because every single one of my professional fights have been at a packed out, sold out arena kit basically, and always on kind of main event times too. So there's always people in the arena, and I'm looking forward to it. I think I'll probably see a better me.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Less pressure, less crowd and all as well. Um, Now, this doesn't generally need to be about yourself, but if the travel restrictions are still in place, what domestic fight would you love to see?
What domestic fight would I love to see?
Because of like the traveling messed up.
Hmm. For me or
It could be for you, or it could be for anybody you think of.
I think you would need fans to get the one I would love most.
Lincoln?
For money ways, I love it. Listen, for me, domestically, Josh Warrington is the guy I want to fight.
Yeah,
Obviously, he's world champion and stuff, and he's looking to get unifications and that. But if we get the money right on that one,
yeah.
sign me up now. Never mind. You know what I mean?
Well, obviously, it could happen because if you think about it, he is the world champion. He got the shots, but on the flip side, you're a massive name.
Yeah.
You have money behind you too, so I don't see why it couldn't happen. You have a higher ranking as well.
Um. Definitely. Listen, 100% they can happen, and if the money's right, I'll take it in the morning.
Yeah,
I'm not going to fight anybody for pennies, especially not Josh Warrington, because I
yeah,
do rate him very highly. But
yeah.
um, it's one that it can definitely happen, and one that I hope happens.
Do you think you're close to a world title yourself?
Um, I'm within.
Um, have you any preference in any champions?
Warrington's my guy. Warrington's my guy. But I'm sitting nicely now with the WBO. I think I'm ranked number one. I think Stevenson's is champion in it, but I
Yeah.
think apparently he's moving up. I'm unsure whether it's happening or not, but apparently he is. So, yeah, I think I could be fighting for the WBO in the next 6-7 months.
Hopefully, it's in New York and there's no
Well, that'll be
restrictions.
St. Patrick's Day. That'll be St. Patrick's Day, I would say.
So I'll have to be early, obviously.
So your ticket's already booked anyway. Maury already knows, so when she's watching this, she'll probably have a laugh, but you've booked it already, so don't worry. Tickets are overshorted, like, you know what I mean? If Carm Ready
All right,
watches,
I'm it.
he'll
So
be getting grass and little Paddy Burns.
He's so manly.
Oh,
Yeah.
he asked me, well, you should, you know, he says he wants to do a petition. He watched Dairy Girls, and he says he wants to do a petition to have Paddy Burns in Dairy Girls.
Well, I haven't got a Belfast accent, never mind a Derry accent, Mick.
It doesn't he can't hear that, but he
I
was
suppose.
is Paddy Burns in Dairy Girls? He says, no, so yeah, he have your tickets anyway.
Right, we're gonna do the quick fire round now.
Bang.
If you could choose a different sport, what would it be?
Football, because they could pay loads of money.
Okay, fair enough. Who would you say is your greatest rival?
Probably would say Nordino Bali, just because. Or nah, I'll say Andrew Selby because he beat me 3 times, and the only person that ever beat me that much. But in terms of greatest, I'll take Nordine because I've beat him 3 times. He never beat me.
An WP champion.
Yeah.
Do you have a pre-fight superstition?
I just bless myself. Make sure I always bless myself. Sometimes I forget now at this stage. I think as an amateur was more kind of. As an amateur, I have loads of superstitions. Actually, I used to walk to the centre of the ring, turn my back, touch my arms front, touch my arms back, and walk back to the corner. I was like, what the hell am I doing when I thought about it?
It's funny to say that you bless yourself every fight, because every time I've blessed myself, I've always lost. I don't know why.
Yeah, no,
Probably with the run of mass. Have you got a favorite quote or a favorite saying?
I'll tell you my favorite quote: "Prepare to fight, get ready for war."
That's the best quote out. That's the best quote out. I saw a quote of a mural in Mount Vernon.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Your favorite sports person, past or present?
Doesn't have to be a boxer, doesn't it?
No. It doesn't have to be me here.
Now you keep spinning my head here. Favorite sports person, past or present? Usain Bolt.
And plus, we met him. We got selfies on him, sure.
No, that's making me think no now because he didn't get in a picture.
But still got to be far away selfie.
Rafa Nadal. He got a picture.
Yeah. Is there any like on a share for any sponsors? I know you're sponsored by Champion Sports.
Yeah.
Champion.
We are.
Have any say smalls you can do anyway?
You need kids 13.
Well, have you had kids 13?
No.
Going round?
No, I'm too big. We'll get them 50.
Well, Nick, thank you for being a part of PaddyCast. It was brilliant having you. I wish you all the best in your next fight.
Come on, Paddy. Appreciate it. Pleasure to be on.